Serious banger. God damn. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be talking how to actually structure your days, time management, right? So we've just spoken about the environment and how important that is to your success. But if you are just spending your time on shit that just doesn't matter and you're not creating a routine that primes you for success, then you are going to fall behind. So, without structure, your day is gonna get hijacked by low value tasks, right? What I mean by that is typically the way the brain works is we always go for the thing that's the easiest. And typically, the thing that is the easiest is the thing that has the least amount of value attached to it in terms of the outcome. So this is why it's important to create structure and understand and provide you with the clarity to do what you need to do, because otherwise you're just gonna do the low value tasks all the time and you're not gonna focus on the high value tasks that get you to your goal. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is, obviously, as high ticket closers, your time is your money. So this is an important thing to understand, right? How do you make money as a high ticket closer? By making sales. Okay. How do we make sales? By jumping on sales calls. Okay. So if I have the skill level required to close a $5,000 deal in an hour, then my time is all of a sudden worth $500 an hour. However, if I improve my skill level to then do that in half an hour, I have just increased the value of my time to $1,000 an hour. And that is just to show you the importance of having the skill on lock. But on top of that, the value of your time. Because if your time is worth $1,000 an hour and you spend 3 hours at the gym, you spend 2 hours on tasks that don't really matter or make you more money, that's 5 hours, that's $5,000 you're missing out on in a day, potentially, right? So that principle and understanding that is crucial. It is crucial to your success and your development. Then, what are the high value tasks in sales, right? Understanding that and understanding what the low value tasks are, right? That is key. Because the thing is, in sales, there are 3 things that move the needle. Sales calls, so conversions, conversations, which are things like calling people, following up with them, etc. And then there are things outside of that that will help you, such as really building systems to make your time more valuable. What I mean by that is it's the thing of leverage. So what you can do, and what I did as a closer to really up how much I was making, was I started to create systems around low leverage tasks, like contracts, sending emails, sending reminders, all of these things, right? I created systems around them and I paid someone, right? Typically a VA, which is a virtual assistant, which is basically someone that can charge like $5 an hour, right? So I was paying them $5 an hour to do some work for me, 1 to 2 hours a day, of all the low leverage tasks that don't really help me make money. Because what helps me make money is being on sales calls. So that's other things you can do, systems, things like that, thinking outside the box, right? Creating a system on how to do tasks effectively and handing that off to someone else. who doesn't charge as much as you, but you can train them to be extremely, extremely efficient and very good at their job, to put it simply. So those things are key. Those are like priorities that we need to do. We need to look at how we can be on more sales calls and how we can focus more on the high value tasks so that we can then give the low value tasks to someone else, right? Now, this is like high level stuff again, in terms of like creating those systems to pass off to someone. When you're at the beginning, that is all on you to do initially, like it is. You don't have the luxury to do that. When you do have the luxury, it gets a lot of fun because you can scale really quickly by handing off those low leverage tasks to someone else. And then you're just on sales calls. Then, for now, it's really just about, okay, how can I organize my time best so I am doing the things that get me closer to my goal every single day? So right now, your goal is to land a role and then to improve your skill set. Those are the only two things that you should be focused on. So, in order to do that, and improving your mindset. Habits, discipline, everything comes into this. Physical health, there's those three things. Those three things are gonna be the thing that skyrockets you to your goal. The skill, the mindset, the role that makes you money. So, understanding that, we are not doing anything else apart from those three things, right? So, what I would recommend doing, the way you start your day is incredibly important. How I start my day is I wake up, I hydrate, right? I take electrolytes every single morning. And then I do some form of movement, like I'll stretch or I'll go on a walk. I might even go to the sauna. Bunch of things I can do, right? That takes me like 30 minutes tops. The reason I do that, increase my energy levels. And I'm owning the day. That's how I see it. Like I'm doing this to own my day. After that, I would recommend coming back home, doing some mindset work, right? Visualization, understanding your goals, journaling. These things are crucial. They are going to provide you with the clarity that you need for the day to realign. Because this game is pretty much all mindset. The reason you aren't where you want to be is, I can tell you, there's obviously the skill level and stuff, but most of it comes down to the mindset of it. Because if you were the person who could make 10K a month, you would be making 10K a month. And that's just the cold hard truth, right? So the mindset work comes after that. Then first focus work block. That first focus work block needs to be no more than 90 minutes. You shouldn't be working more than 90 minutes straight. You lose focus, lose energy, lose clarity, and after that 90 minutes, your productivity drops like crazy. So you should already know what needs to go here, because every night you are writing your to-do list. And you're starting with the hardest thing every single day. The hardest thing every single day. So whatever that hardest task is, the one that you least want to do, that is the one that you do first thing. And then, so what that could look like for you is role plays, for example, doing role plays, reaching out to business owners, how to landing offers, connecting and networking with different people in the space that can help you reach your goals. There's a variety of things that you can do. But that first work block needs to be the hardest thing that's on your to-do list. And that needs to be done. Because that's how you start the day. Because if you start every single day like that, you are programming your head and your habits and everything to actually win. Like I said, we're programmed initially to always do the easiest things. But if you start doing the hardest things every single day, wow, you'll turn into an animal, right? So then I would recommend maybe having something to eat, right? Me personally, I do not eat like gluten pretty much. Like anything that really slows me down, I try to avoid. It makes me feel slow, makes me feel lethargic, makes me feel like full. So I try to eat very clean till dinner. After dinner, I tend not to work unless I really have to. I want to get everything done before then. But that's when I like eat like carbs, like pizza, pasta, whatever. I love my food, and yeah, I'll eat that stuff. I'll eat that stuff. For me, during the day, I typically have like a smoothie after my first morning block, and then for lunch, steak, eggs, avocado. And no, it's not on a motherfucking wood chopping board. It's on a plate. If you eat on a wooden chopping board, you're an idiot. That's my opinion. But anyway, so first morning block, get some food in you. Try to avoid things that make you feel lethargic and slow because that will just eat into your time. And then it's about the second work block. And then, like I said, you're just going down hardest to easiest thing from that point. This can be reviewing your calls. This could be like more skill training. It can be a lot. There's a lot you can do. But yeah, interviews as well, things like that, things that are just not as hard to do. Yeah, the first task, like I said, hardest, and then as you go throughout the day, it gets easier and easier and easier and easier. Because think about it like this as well, energy levels as you go throughout the day will drop. You are most primed in the morning, and so that is when you should do your hardest task. Now, during your focused work blocks, no distractions. Put your phone on airplane mode or do not disturb or some shit. Put it on like another table, right? Get it away from you and just have what you need in front of you and nothing else. Then you, like I said, plan the day the night before. You should already know what you're gonna do, and it should be very clear. Very clear. And use a calendar to keep it all organized. You can use things like Notion. Notion have a calendar that you can use that's pretty solid. Google Calendar is the most free, easy to use version in my opinion. So I would just use Google Calendar, right? And stick to it. Stick to your word, because your word is your bond at the end of the day. So stick to your word. If you say you're gonna do something at a certain time, you get it done. Simple. Now, obviously, all your schedules will look very different because some of you work 9 to 5, some of you do this, some of you do that, different hours of the day. You need to find something that works for you, whether it's waking up earlier, going to bed later, whatever it is. But you need to be clear on what you need to do, and you need to do it simple. I would always recommend, if you work a 9 to 5, go to bed earlier and get the hardest tasks that you want to get done in the morning before you go to work, because you tend to come home tired. So you are going to be it's going to be very easy to convince yourself to not do the work and say, I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, you don't do it. You feel the same. I'm doing it tomorrow. And then maybe you do it on the weekend, but you've just wasted 5 days of saying, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it tomorrow. Right? So that's important. On top of that, what I would recommend is like deleting social media apps or putting social media blockers on. 90 minutes focused work, no more than that. You should look at, again, at the end of every week, I've spoken about this, but it's important to like do a self-analysis. So like look at what went well, what made you the most amount of money that week, or what got you closer to your goal that week. Was it improving your skill set? Was it networking with business owners, landing interviews? Like what was it, right? And then that then becomes the priority task, because that's the task that makes you money, right? And you should have an order for that. Is there anything else on that. No. Like I said, for the beginning, time management, it's not complicated. It's really not complicated. It's just have a Google Calendar, know what you're gonna do the night before, and fucking do it from hardest to easiest. Simple. And help yourself with what you're eating, what you're putting into your body, because that's gonna help with what you're putting out there, actually. It's only really when you are closing, high level, like that's where the time management gets a lot more interesting, because there's certain systems you can do, there's people you can hire, there's stuff you can do to make your life easier and make way more money. But for now, it's probably the simplest it's gonna be. It's only gonna get more complicated. And that's why it's important to manage this skill and master this skill as soon as possible. So on that note, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Fucking live by your Google Calendar, all right?